Hey. Hello. He's coming. Is he's around? Jonas? I don't know if you're else now. He's coming. Hi. How are you? Good. How are you too? I hope I don't disturb you. How are you? Okay. Hey. Hello. Hey. Good, yeah? Thank you. So this is a nice, great place you have. Yeah. So did you meet everybody? I met everybody.
My name is Jonas Hellborg. I was born in Gothenburg, Sweden, on the west coast. And I grew up in Gothenburg and in Stockholm and eventually in a little town called Lund in the south. I come from a very non-musical family in the sense that nobody was playing instruments. But there was lots of music and culture around the house. My mother was an actress and she knew lots of musicians. I remember that I, as a very small kid, was very influenced or very moved by two Germans, which is Beethoven and Stockhausen. At maybe age 4 or 5, I was really fascinated by symphonies by Beethoven and this strange, crazy avant-garde music by Stockhausen. And it wasn't until I was 12 I actually became interested in playing. And basically it was one of my schoolmates who already had a band and he needed a bass player. And he asked me if I played bass, and I thought for a second about it and I said, yeah, sure, I play bass. So I ran home and begged my dad to buy me a bass, and he did, and that was how it started.
Mama,
When I was around 11, 12, I was already a certified hippie. I was really into like the hippie movement and all the bands that were important then, Cream and Hendrix and of course it was a lot of like drinking beer and young females and all this, and that was really what it was all about. It wasn't so much about music as the presence being in like the whole subculture and being cool and hip. One thing that I want to say is that at the time in Europe, radio was fantastic. Swedish radio as well as German and British and Arab radio played all kinds of music. You switch on the radio, you would hear like all kinds of extreme and normal and good and bad music, and I listened a lot to radio. I think that is one of the really big influences. And I liked sounds. I've always liked sound, so I think that is. Around, say, 16, 17, I was living by myself already. I had moved away from home. And my neighbor was this old, crazy saxophone player. And he played all this crazy, like, avant-garde jazz all the time. And I was in my room playing bass, and he came in one day and said, introduced himself, said that he was a saxophone player, and they were looking for a bass player, and would I play with him? And I said, sure. So I went and played with them, and they were just doing like crazy noise avant-garde music. And I sort of latched onto this and did what I figured I should do, and it worked. And so I was really proud. I figured playing jazz is not that difficult. So when I started playing, I was just like playing normal, like. And I was actually playing with a pick. And that's when I really started practicing really hard and started learning stuff and really transcribing lots of more advanced stuff than just like rock and blues stuff. According to me, nobody has ever been able to play upright bass and bass guitar successfully. Like really be good bass guitar player and be a good upright bass player. I wouldn't mind trying playing tuba or trumpet, but I wouldn't spend much time on it because I wouldn't have the time to do it enough to be as good as I have to be to really enjoy it. I think that's what it comes down to. To be able to enjoy something, you have to do it long enough so you start to learn, how it feels, how it works. I played with some different groups. I joined the disco group for a while, like a what is it called, Earth, Wind and Fire kind of cover band, and then I ended up in a Jimi Hendrix cover band for a while. And I did all these things in order to make a living as it's normally understood. But I figured quite soon that if this was making a living playing music, I did not want to make a living playing music because I really hated it. I really didn't like it, and also I didn't really make good money. It was really bad pay. So at one point I just said, forget about it. I'm not going to do this anymore. And what I did was I went back and I studied some more, and I used my bass to help me when I studied the harmony and things, because I didn't have a piano or a guitar. And that sort of led to developing chords and things like that for the bass, which led for me to have a repertoire of solo bass music. So I called the radio producer, and he really loved the idea, and he invited me directly to come to this. A couple of weeks later I did this radio show, and that tape I used and I sent it to a couple of festivals just for the heck of it, no real hope, and Montreux Jazz Festival called me back, and they said, you know, we can't pay you much, and you know, but maybe you can come down and play a little bit, and you know, so I did. So I came down and I played 2 concerts, and there was lots of talk, and one person who heard the talk about me was Michael Brecker, who came, and he said, I heard good things, and he asked, you know, do you want to play for me? And I said, sure. So we went down to a little club they have there, and he brought along some other people, Mike Manieri and some other very famous musicians, and there I was with maybe 6, 7 of the, you know, world's most famous jazz musicians, and I played like an impromptu concert for them. I sort of broke into recognition as a soloist, like just playing by myself. But that was not what I was trying to do. I was trying to be a rock and roll musician, basically. I wasn't really into impressing anybody, but the fact that it was really not heard before, that was impressive, and that's sort of why it became called virtuosic. I played that concert for Michael and everybody, and Brecker really liked what I was doing, and he said, I have to do something for you. And then he told me that you can't stay in Europe, you have to come to America. You know, you can't really make it from here. If you want to be part of anything, you got to be in the States. So basically what I did, I came over to New York for a while, and I did some shows opening up for Steps Ahead. And I met a bunch of people, and I saw a lot of people, and then I went back to Europe. And when I came back to Europe, I did some concerts with a band of my own. To the club where I was playing came this little African man called Rebop Kwakuba. Rebop had just stopped playing with Traffic and Stevie Winwood, and he was trying to do his own record. And he came to hear me play, and he liked it, and he said, you know, you have to come to England to work with me. So instead of going back to America, that's what I did. I went to London for a year, and we worked on a record. I came back to Sweden and started doing things. And I had gotten in touch with Michael Shreve, the ex-drummer from Santana, and we decided to make a record together, and we did it in Stockholm. And the first day we came for the recordings there, Michael went out for lunch and accidentally ran into John McLaughlin. And they had lunch, and John invited us to come down to the concert that he was playing that night with Paco de Lucia and Aldo Meola. And so we did, and John said, you know, we're going to do something together soon. And I figured, yeah, right, very possible. So we met and we put together a bunch of songs. And that in itself, it lasted maybe 2 or 3 years. If I ever had a dream of playing with anybody, it was John. And then that happened, so that was really a dream come true. John McLaughlin is a catalyst for a lot of the music that has happened since the 70s. And he basically provoked a lot of things to happen that you know, you can always discuss might have happened, might not have happened, but he actually was the trigger of fusion music. And the other big thing was his interest for Indian music, which led him to hook up with Zakir Hussain, and how they put Shakti together, and also how it opened up the interest for Indian music, and in the extension for a lot of other music from different parts of the world in the West, because it was all of a sudden very hip to listen to this music in this way. Ginger Baker is possibly the most important rock drummer. I think it's still going to take a long time before people realize that. He went, after Cream broke up, he went to Africa and he met fellows fashionable, you know, to know about African music. He moved to Lagos, Nigeria, and set up a studio to record African music. So I called him up, and he answered, yeah. I said, I'm so-and-so, and he said, who the fuck are you? You know, I said, well, I'm a friend of Bill Laswell's and John McLaughlin tonight. But, oh, John, huh? Well, I'm taking a bath at the moment. You have to call me back later. And anyways, I called him back after a couple. We talked, and then I invited. So for me, if you talk about musicians, inspirational musicians that really meant something, or influenced me, yeah, definitely. Take somebody like Monk, take somebody like Razan Roland Kirk. You know, really bypassed and ignored. I mean, he was one of the greatest bloody tenor players. He could do, like, badass flute player. He could, like, do all those things, and, you know, Mingus. That's music. That is, like, really gutsy. Like, there's a realness to that. And of course, like, maybe, if not the most influential jazz player ever, one of the two, Coltrane. What he did you know, was totally focused on substance. This is playing music. He only played his bloody horn. He played saxophone, and he just did it to the point where it was just, you just couldn't believe it. We are not, me and Sean, we are not trying to be Indians. We're not trying to play Indian music, but we are finding at the root level much more connections where we can actually play what we play, musicians, without really changing the, yeah, it's like in Indian music, and it's not like one thing floating on top of the other. It's together, it's mixed. Sakir is the son of Alaraka, who is the tabla player for Ravi Shankar. Sakir and Viku are, for me, I mean, I'm just a Westerner looking at India, but for me they are the greatest developers of Indian percussion, or maybe percussion in the world. And Selva is the next generation, and he, for me, is the great new genius of telephones. Hello, yes. He just improvised everything. It's not something very common, and it takes a very particular kind of awareness, I would say. I'll tell you, so you can explain to them if you need to explain something.
Jonas, I think, besides being, incredibly gifted on the bass guitar, the instrument and everything, he just has a very good sense of aesthetics, about music, about what things make for a good aesthetic balance and things, and also is a very honest musician and has a real nose for being able to tell if something is dishonest or not. So our interests paralleled each other, and we both happened to love Indian music for a long time, and I respect him, very greatly.
Yes, you got